basically since he was hired, he's been on the hot seat. But now who knows if he's going to make the move to Dwayne Haskins in a battle today where, you've got the New York Giants showing off their shiny new toy, and Daniel Jones. Does Jay Gruden try to match that and throw Dwayne Haskins in the mix today? So those of us streaming Case Keenum, it's fingers crossed because you're either going to end up with the game of Case Keenum's life today, or you're going to end up with a quarter, and here comes Dwayne Haskins. But also in that game, obviously, Saquon Barkley will be out. Wayne Gallman is in. I expect mostly Wayne Gallman and maybe a little bit of Elijah Penny thrown in there. Start your Sterling Shepard, start your Evan Ingram, and you'll have to wait another week for Golden Tate. Terry McLaurin, who has been on the injury report with a hamstring, that has been reported minor. He's a game-time decision, but according to NFL.com, the team is optimistic that he's going to play today. So people playing Scary Terry, it's going to be scary, but hey, that comes with the name. In other injury news, get back to my page here. Yes, in this much-awaited Kyle Allen second game, you have him facing off against the Houston Texans. The Texans are only going to be without offensive tackle Central Henderson today. So, man, with the Houston Texans offensive line play already being shaky and the Panthers, it seems like starting to catch fire under Kyle Allen, that may spark the defense as well. So I think Deshaun Watson is going to be under fire a lot today, but still got to start him. You're obviously starting DeAndre Hopkins. You're looking for more flex numbers out of Will Fuller and Kenny Stills, who kind of cancel each other out at the end of the day. They're both, the big play guys, and they each usually get one, but they don't really accumulate targets the way Hopkins does. If you're having to stream Houston's tight end, I feel bad for you. They never throw to the tight end. I'm playing Carlos Hyde today because Le'Veon Bell is on bye, but I'm not looking forward to a big game out of Hyde with Luke Kuechly swarming the middle the way he usually does. So that's that. You have the Texans favored in this game by 5 points. And I have that as well. I think the Texans will take care of Carolina at home.
What
Kyle
do you think
Allen,
the
I
score
could
is
see.
going to be?
I will go 17-13. So that's not covering, actually. I guess I'll take the Panthers in that regard to cover.
Well, there you go. What about
moving on?
So,
yep.
Have you gotten to the Seahawks game yet?
I haven't.
Do you want to jump there real quick because I know there's people out there that have George Kittle in that division, and they're probably wanting to know who to play and if they should pick up a Seahawks tight end because they traded away the one and the one has done the other one. So just interested in that for those George Kittle owners out there.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, actually. So Seattle trades away Nick Van Ness to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who may be playing himself this weekend with the banged-up Vance McDonald. But now you have fantasy football fan favorite. He's known as the Big Montana because he went to, I believe, Montana State, Mr. Will Disley, who seems to be a touchdown machine in this Seattle offense. He's a guy I would be more than willing to stream this week on the road against Arizona. Arizona's defense is absolute garbage. It's a dumpster fire. It's trash. I tried to start them last week against Kyle Allen, and I was torched. Ended up with negative points. Greg Olsen had a big day. You can absolutely stream Will Disley today. I think that's a great play against Arizona, Jay. Great question.
Well, I know it seems like I have great questions, but honestly, they're more selfish questions, okay? So, just being honest here.
Oh, I know. But it works out. It's perfect.
But, I mean, you are the commissioner of our league. You should know. You know my roster.
Yeah, man. You got a big week this week against Dave. This is for some real bragging rights between you two.
Dude, he's going to kick my ass. Are you kidding me? Jones did not do anything. I'm depending on Frank Gore against the Patriots as a running back. I'm hoping to God that Shepard, Brown, and I don't even know who my other freaking receiver is right now. I have to check. And then I've got Disley instead of Kittle. And the Packers defense got torched. I forgot to take him out this week because I was getting over freaking confident about it, and I really should have took him out and played the Rams because of the matchup they have this week. But yeah, I've got no chance against Dave this week. I already came to that grips on Thursday night after that game. I'm toasted, dude. It'll be the third straight week I lose by 30 or more points. Not looking good for Jay's squad.
Yeah, Dave seems catching fire at the right time. Hey, another very fantasy relevant game today. At 1 o'clock, the Kansas City Chiefs travel into Detroit Rock City to take on Matt Stafford, his hip injury, and the rest of the Detroit Lions. Kansas City is favored by a touchdown, and I would go with that as well. I think the score is going to be 27-14 Chiefs, and I expect Stafford to finish this game. I don't think the hip injury will be a very big deal. But the Chiefs' defense is actually playing a little better than expected this season. They're kind of stingy against the pass. And if Kerryon Johnson can't get it going, which he hasn't really had any big days thus far, he's shown flashes with some plays here and there, but hasn't really put it together for an entire package. Danny Amendola is very questionable in this game with an injury. Darius Slay is also a game-time decision. So I feel very bad for the Detroit defense when you got that Kansas City offense on turf without your top cornerback on the field, Patrick Mahomes. This could be your savior here, Jay.
I'm hoping so, man. I am hoping so, for the love of God. Because you know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. Patrick Mahomes on any other roster other than mine would be just making their roster untouchable. But I've gotten to the point where I'm almost starting to come to this grips, like, do I need to, like, for the betterment of the league, do I need to give somebody else Patrick Mahomes? Like, because he's just getting wasted on my team.
Do not think that way, ever.
35 points average a week, and it just goes, and I still lose by 30. It's just like... It's like I got the guy. I feel like I'm holding Patrick Mahomes down in our league. Like I just
no.
You're
only holding
ankles.
yourself. Listen, you have the ace, my friend. You're Thanos right now with the glove on and all the Infinity Stones in place. You have two options, my friend. You can ride out this Pat Mahomes train and be in every game, knowing that he can give you that type of week-winning performance, or you can make someone get down on their hands and knees and trade you everything for Pat Mahomes and improve your team that way. That is what Patrick Mahomes owners are this year. They are Thanos.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I got the receivers. It's like, do I go out there and make somebody give me like a bunch of running backs that, because I basically have figured out I can stream a bunch of different quarterbacks, throw Aaron Rodgers in there too, and probably end up winning a bunch of games, or at least losing them by a couple of points instead of getting blown out. It's just like, I'm at a struggling point right now. Here, that becomes another question. I, like many people right now that are Patrick Mahomes owners and running back deficient, and seem to have all the... Because I have more receivers. If I could play all receivers, I'd whoop people's asses. My receivers are great. Seriously. Like, my receivers, I have more receivers that do well compared to the rest of my roster. And if I could play them all, I'd be just fine. But I can't. And so, it's like, what do you do? What do you do?
You use that to your advantage.
That's the question. What do you do? What's the actual for everybody out there? What's the absolute smartest play from a guy that's won leagues and wins and thinks of this shit way deeper than I do? Honestly, like I'm a newbie at this and I have strategies and it never seems to work out. But from somebody that's actually smart in this, what's the strategy in somebody like mine's situation? What do you do to become competitive? What's the best choice? That's the question, Dillon.
This is perfect, okay? Because this is a scenario that is more than likely played out all across the fantasy world. and this is perfect, especially with the way injuries have happened this season. What you do is you take Patrick Mahomes and you think of one of your bench receivers who's doing very well, who you can afford to lose, and you find the Drew Brees, the Ben Roethlisberger owners. See what they're playing. Can you work a deal with them? Is their best running back available? That's what you do. These guys who lost out on Big Ben and Drew Brees and are looking to pivot and trying to save their season, and they really could use a quarterback to light a fire because you still have Aaron Rodgers. And if you wanted, it might be ugly right now with Rodgers not putting up a big game, but I would float Rodgers out there first, see what happens, and then be like, well, what would you do for Pat Mahomes? And then just watch the messages flood into your phone as they try to trade for him. But, yeah, you're in the perfect scenario, my friend. You're hurting a running back, like a lot of other people right now with Saquon out and different injuries happening. You can go out and maybe you try to work a small trade for a Jordan Howard, who seems to be claiming that job right now and could run with it in the future. Or you try to get a big trade, and like we talked about with Alvin Kamara or Devontae Freeman plus, maybe you can get Freeman and another running back. But yeah, you're in the perfect scenario, my friend, as the Mahomes owner and someone with bench wide receivers who's performing to work a package deal to get you some big time help at running back and even out that team.
Okay, so I know the next question that pops through people's heads in my scenario for you is, what about the really big fish? Can you pull a package together with the Mahomes, like for an Ezekiel Elliott, for a Todd Gurley, for a Delvin Cook?
Well, I think so, because also you have to, another quarterback I didn't throw in there, but who also people were depending on was Cam Newton. So are the Christian McCaffrey owners worried? I know he had a big game last week, but we'll see what happens today. I think literally when you're talking Mahomes plus and a receiver, anyone is on the table. Like you should throw out offers to everyone. But the likely owners, if that's the way you want to know, like the guys you're likely to get are guys like probably Todd Gurley, guys like a Kamara, guys like a LaShawn McCoy, who may have claimed that job in KC right now. And I know that seems kind of weird trading away, Kansas City's quarterback for Kansas City's running back. But I think almost anyone, Joe Mixon, almost anyone is on the table, maybe aside from Dalvin Cook.
Okay, then. There you go, people. You heard it.
But you can't, because you're right. It's good to know realistically who you're going to get, but people, do not let that hold you back. Do not be that guy that you were back in high school who was afraid to ask out the hottest girl, who was afraid to ask her to go to the dance with you. You ask every girl to the dance. You ask all the hot girls. You ask all the guys if you have to in fantasy football. You got to figure out who's on the trade and who's not, and you can't let the possibility of no hold you back. So that's the last thing I'll say on that front.
See, there's another great nugget by Dillon. That's why we call him Agent. That's why we call him Agent Busby on First and Goal, man. Because dude is just like, he's killing it, just killing it. I feel like you have like a briefcase handcuffed to your arm all the time, full of like fantasy information, and you just whip that thing open and just start talking like, oh yeah, here you go. Shut it and walk away.
Yeah, well, it's not full of money, so it's got to be full of something, I guess.
Not yet. Someday, maybe. All right, and more matchups. Again, I got you down a rabbit hole, so we got probably about 20 minutes, man. We'll extend it a little bit over an hour so we can finish your matchup part here. That way we're not running into Monty's show at 11, who, by the way, you want to listen to the full Monty football show at 11 o'clock right after us on Nuts and Bolts. Blog Talk Radio.
Good. Shifting over to what could have been a really good game, but with the likelihood of T.Y. Hilton being out for this game with a hamstring or a quad injury, my bad. Man, I was really looking forward to a Jacoby Brissett stream. Like I said earlier, I had them all geared up to go. Then when I found out T.Y. wasn't going to play, I shifted over to Case Keenum. So hopefully Case doesn't get pulled for Haskins today. But yeah, I think Indy being favored by 6.5 over Oakland, and this one's a good line. I've got Indy probably